Welcome back students to today's class. We will continue with the topic of solutions and suspensions today. In a previous class we had studied about pure substances. I had told you what is a pure substance, what is a mixture, what are the different types of mixture. Do you remember what are the different types of mixture? They are homogeneous or heterogeneous. So I had told you what is a homogeneous mixture, what are its properties. I told you about solutions and the properties of true solution. So today we will begin our class with the same topic, what is a solution, and then continue further into the different topics in this chapter. So what is a true solution? Let's quickly recapitulate. A solution is a homogeneous mixture of two or more substances. You come across various types of solutions in your daily life. Lemonade, soda water are all examples of solutions. Usually, we think of a solution as a liquid that contains either a solid, liquid, or a gas dissolved in it. But we can also have solid solutions, that is, solid in a solid. Those are called alloys. And gaseous solutions like air. In a solution, there is homogeneity at the particle level. What does that mean? Consider an example. Lemonade tastes the same throughout. This shows that particles of sugar or salt are evenly distributed in the solution. A solution has a solvent and a solute as its components. The component of a solution that dissolves the other component in it. I repeat once again, the component of a solution that dissolves the other component in it. Usually the component that is present in larger amount is called the solvent. It is called the solvent. A solution has a solvent and a solute as its components. The component of the solution that dissolves the other component in it, which is usually present in a larger amount, is called the solvent. Now the component of the solution that is dissolved in the solvent and what is usually present in lesser quantity is called the solute. So you have a solute and solvent. When they are mixed together, that results in the formation of a solution. Like for example, a solution of sugar in water is a solid and liquid solution. In this solution, sugar is the solute and water is the solvent. A solution of iodine in alcohol, known as tincture of iodine, has iodine as the solute and alcohol as the solvent. Aerated drinks like soda water are gas and liquid solutions where carbon dioxide gas is the solute and water is the solvent, while air is a mixture of gas and gas. Air is a homogeneous mixture of a number of gases. Its two main constituents being oxygen, that is 21%, and nitrogen, that is 78%. The other gases are present in very small quantities. Coming to the uses of solvents and solutions. Let's begin with the use of solvents and solution in home. Water is used for cooking, washing and bathing. Water is a universal solvent. Water dissolves detergents used for cleaning. Other solvents used at home are paint thinners and alcohol to remove stains. What about industries? Water is used as one of the raw materials to manufacture food, drinks, textiles, soap and cement. Ethanol is used in the preparation of perfumes. Steel is made from the solid in solid solution of iron and carbon. It is widely used in the construction industry. So, I already told you that solutions can be homogeneous or heterogeneous. Homogeneous solutions are called the true solutions, about which we have already discussed in our previous class, and today also we quickly recapitulated about the solutions. Talking about heterogeneous solutions, they can be classified as suspensions and colloids. But before we study about suspensions, let us collect some more information about solutions. And a very important topic in this respect will be concentration of a solution. Now for that, you need to refer to the activity that we had discussed in our previous session. I told you that there were different groups, out of which one group was given one spatula of copper sulfate and they were asked to dissolve it in 50 milliliter of water, while the other group was given two spatula full of copper sulfate and they were asked to dissolve it in 50 milliliter of water. Now let me ask you one question. Will the two groups, the solution that they will obtain, have the same color? Obviously not, because one group has added just one spatula full of copper sulfate, while the other group has added two spatula full of copper sulfate. So depending upon the amount of copper sulfate dissolved in the water, the color of the resulting solution is going to be different. Like one group will observe a light blue colored solution, while the other group will obtain a dark blue colored solution. The difference in the color of the solution is primarily due to the difference in the amount of solute dissolved in the fixed amount of solvent. What was the solute in this case? The solute was copper sulfate. And what was the solvent in this case? Water. What was the amount of solvent? 50 milliliter. Both of them were given 50 milliliter of water, but the amount of solute given to both the groups was different. One was given one spatula full of copper sulfate, while the other was given two spatula full of copper sulfate. So depending upon the amount of solute dissolved in a fixed amount of solvent, you can have a different concentration of a solution. So accordingly, we can classify the solutions as being dilute or concentrated. So in a solution, the relative proportion of the solute and solvent can be varied. Depending upon the amount of solute present in a solution, it can be called a dilute, concentrated, or a saturated solution. Like I am just zooming this picture for you all. You can see there is a concentrated solution and there is a dilute solution. You can see in the concentrated solution the number of solute particles is more. The number of solute particles is shown by the blue dots. While in the dilute solution the number of solute particles is less. Small amount of solute in large amount of solvent, that is a dilute solution. A large amount of solute in a small amount of solvent, that is a concentrated solution. So behavior of solutions depend on compound itself and on how much it is present, that is on the concentration. Two solutions can contain the same compounds but behave quite different because the proportions of those compounds are different. So obviously if different quantity of solute is dissolved in solvent, obviously the property exhibited by them will be different. Like for example, if you are dissolving 1 spoon of copper sulfate in water, it will be lightly blue colored. If you are dissolving 2 spoonful of copper sulfate in water, it will be having a darker color. Say for example, you take sugar, 1 spoonful of sugar in 1 glass of water, and then you add 2 spoonful of water in a different glass full of water. Will the taste be similar? Obviously not. The glass in which you have added 2 spoonful of sugar will be tasting more sweet. So both the cases you are having sugar solutions, but the property exhibited is different. One is less sweet while the other one is more sweet. Why is the difference? The difference is primarily due to the difference in the amount of solute. In this case, the solute was sugar and the solvent was water. Now a question arises, is there any way of increasing the concentration or changing the concentration? At any particular temperature, a solution that has dissolved as much solute as it is capable of dissolving is said to be a saturated solution. In other words, when no more solute can be dissolved in a solution at a given temperature, it is called a saturated solution. The amount of the solute present in the saturated solution at this temperature is called its solubility. Now, what would happen if you were to take a saturated solution at a certain temperature and cool it slowly? We can infer from our understanding that different substances in a given solvent have different solubilities at the same temperature. So a concentrated solution can be made more diluted by adding more solvent. Like to dilute a cup of orange juice, we can add more water. How can you make a more dilute solution more concentrated? Add more solute. Or either you can warm it up, remove solvent by evaporating the solvent. Like say for example, if we keep on boiling milk, doesn't it become more concentrated? It is a very common observation. When we make a sugar solution for preparing any sweet, we go on boiling the water and you can see that the solution gets on becoming thicker and thicker. So it is a very common observation, and that is actually the understanding of concentration of solution. So how to define it? It is defined as the amount of solute in a given quantity of the solution. Now it is expressed in percentage of solute in a solvent. Now this is very important, because using the formula that you can see on the picture right now on your screen, you will be getting some numerical questions. There are various ways of expressing the concentration of a solution. So concentration of a solution in terms of mass of solute, so mass by mass percentage. So mass of solute in grams divided by mass of solution in grams multiplied by 100. Then you can have volume by volume percentage of a solution, where you are having concentration given by volume of solute in milliliter divided by volume of solution in milliliter into 100. You can also measure the volume in liters. So talking about solubility, as I was saying, that the maximum amount of a solute which can be dissolved in 100 grams of a solvent at a specified temperature is known as the solubility of that solute in that solvent at that temperature. Now it is very important that whenever we are talking about solubility, we have to always specify the temperature, because with change in temperature the solubility is going to change. I will give you one example. Suppose you go on adding sugar to a glass full of water. After a while, you will observe that no more sugar is dissolving in water and it is remaining inside water as residue. This means that the solution has become saturated and there is no possibility of adding more amount of sugar to it. But what will happen if you start heating up that water? You will find that as soon as the temperature rises, the sugar that was initially left behind as a residue will gradually start dissolving. This means the solubility has increased with increase in temperature. So that is why whenever we are mentioning solubility of any substance, we have to specify the temperature. And for the same reason, even in the definition it is mentioned that the maximum amount of solute which can be dissolved in 100 grams of solvent at a specified temperature, at a fixed temperature, is known as the solubility of that solute in that solvent at that temperature. So while expressing the solubility of a substance, we have to specify the temperature also. How to calculate the solubility? For that I have given you one example. So using this formula, you can very easily calculate the solubility of a substance. So as I was telling you that there are different types of solution depending upon its concentration. So you can have an unsaturated solution when the amount of solute contained in a solution is less than the saturated level. The solution is said to be an unsaturated solution, as you can see in the picture. A saturated solution is a solution containing the maximum amount of solute that will dissolve at a given temperature. So unless there is a change in temperature, no further amount of solute can be dissolved in a saturated solution. Now what is a supersaturated solution? A solution which contains more of the solute than required to make a saturated solution. That is a supersaturated solution. Now, in order to understand the difference between solution and suspension, it is better to begin with this picture. you can see what is the case with the solution and what happens with the suspension. In a suspension, you can find that after a while there is some precipitation. You are able to see the particles dissolved in it. Both are mixtures. Solution is also a mixture, suspension is also a mixture, but there is a very basic difference between them. In solution, you are not able to see the particles that have been dissolved to form the mixture, but in case of a suspension, you are very well able to see the particles dissolved, or rather they precipitate after a while. So what is a suspension? When a solid does not dissolve in a liquid, a suspension is formed. For example, sand cannot dissolve in water. Muddy water containing sand is an example of a suspension. A suspension is a mixture in which insoluble particles are suspended in a liquid or a gas. So suspension is a mixture of materials that separate when left alone after time. This means it is unstable. If suppose sand is dissolved in water, after a while you will find that a clear layer of water is formed and sand is left in the bottom. This means the materials, the components separate out. So there is lack of stability. Example, soil and water, vinegar and oil, salad dressing, smog that is smoke and fog. The heavier or bigger items fall to the bottom. The particles are usually large and can be seen, unlike in a solution. Are you able to see the particles of a solution? Obviously not, because they remain dissolved with each other. But in case of a suspension, we are very well able to see the component particles. Some more examples like flour in water that needs to be shaken well before using. Sometimes also you find this instruction given in some food items that we purchase from the market. It is written shake well before use, because commonly what happens, the components, they settle down in the bottom. So it is a suspension. Muddy water taken from a swamp is another example. So there are several uses of suspensions about which I have shown you in this picture. You can get some extra information regarding suspensions using this. So very quickly I am letting you know the properties of a suspension. The suspension obviously is a heterogeneous mixture. The particles of a suspension can be seen by the naked eye. The particles of a suspension scatter a beam of light passing through it and make its path visible. The solute particles settle down when a suspension is left undisturbed. They can be separated from the mixture by the process of filtration. When the particles settle down, the suspension breaks and it does not scatter light anymore. Several pharmaceutical applications of suspensions are there. Suspensions may be used pharmaceutically for a number of reasons. Suspension is usually applicable for drug which is insoluble or poorly soluble. Suspension is to prevent degradation of drug or to improve stability of drugs, that is medicines. To mask the taste of bitter or unpleasant medicines when formulated in solution form. These are formulated in a suspension which will be more palatable. So these are some of the uses of suspensions. This will be all for today's class. We will be studying about one more form of heterogeneous mixture, that is colloids, and then we will be comparing solutions and suspensions. Now this will be the task for today. You have to write down the differences between solutions and suspensions. That is your assignment for today. Thank you.